rapidly as China believes that these Pacific nations are messing with their trade. Yes, they believe that. And they escalate this by making a small incursion, violating the airspace of South Korea. And well, how did we get there? And how will this end? And well, hi guys, welcome to today's video. In today's video, we'll continue our alternate future of the world series. And well, not long into today's video, war is declared. Yes, war is declared. With the Imperial Army. Yes, Imperial. And then their enemies. You might think it's just these four nations. Well, Australia is just there. Can I join? That's basically what they're like. You may ask where they start the first front. Let me fix it up a bit, map up a bit. Yeah, the map is kind of ruined. I've been saying I was going to fix those dots for like the whole series. Like, yeah. And well, a successful invasion is launched into the Koreas, with them quickly advancing, but they eventually get held back as they get to the far southern part of it. Now in Vietnam, you may ask, well, Thailand launches an offensive and they launch an offensive in the north. Australia plans to split forces between both fronts. And well, quickly they occupy a big chunk of it, which leads them to become ready for this front, which leads more forces landing there from Australia. But what nobody expects was the landing in the Philippines. And well, they move right through it. And well, the Philippines has collapsed, because nobody could get to it in time. With them realizing there's no real ability to fight on this front, so Vietnam launches 2 counter-offensives, and they manage to make some success, with Japan landing over here to launch a counter-offensive, which does not end very well. They managed to encircle these forces, but what they didn't expect was a landing over here, and another one over here, and another one over here, which quickly took Seoul and Pyongyang, and quickly it ends up like this. And well, Korea is fully occupied. And right now, the only fighting remaining is in Vietnam. And yeah, China's advances are not very fast as they start trying to move in on multiple fronts. And well, some guerrilla warfare breaks out, as they don't want to lose their land, and they figure this is the last way to not lose. And well, it may have worked in the past, but it's not going to work this time. A, it's easier to fight it when you're right on the front with it. B, well, it's not the same as a few hundred years ago in this series. Yes, that'd be hundreds of years ago, maybe even 1,000. Wonder if they still have that. With them managing to eventually cut it in half. This leads to the northern front having some more success. And well, they manage to push it back to be like this, with them having a sliver there, and then they decide to continue a front. Them struggling to take land, so they launch a landing over here. Well, it becomes like this, with the pockets being pushed back to the coast. And then the first one to fall has fallen. And now, with Australia and Japan deciding to meet for peace in Beijing. Let's see how the peace treaty goes. There's 3 countries occupied. Let's see how it goes. Having to be ended due to the loss. And well, I figured out a new color is better for that alliance. We will use green. And yes, China annexed northern parts of Indochina, all of Korea, all of the Philippines, with Thailand annexing a big chunk of Vietnam, and then the rest becomes a puppet. Why would they puppet them, you may ask? Well, it was the only option they really had. Now, negotiations are made, and they manage to get access to these lands, as they decide to form an empire. And within not long after this title, they decide an invasion into Egypt isn't a big deal. Wonder what they'll do. And well, quickly they move to the Suez. Quickly they manage to get into the capital and take it. And then they speed up their advance, with their advance speeding up, them having been severely weakened. And well, they lost the war. What a surprise, though. Well, this frozen world is full of not a great world to be in, just saying. And well, there's 2 alliances that are not friendly towards each other. Although this nation's the same, they decide to create a new alliance. Now, not a communist alliance, but an alliance that's against the communists. Even though they're not against the communists, against Europe. And well, against France, not against communism, basically. Now, it's not a strong alliance. I wouldn't be willing to say. By any means, it's not a strong alliance. But it's a good alliance. And well, they managed to take back land, but they're trying to figure out a way to do it without creating problems. Just like that happened. Because they basically made something that moves like ice and moves water and changes terrain in nearby areas. Yes, not really great. And while this country plans to expand into Africa and take over North Africa, annexing it in, like over here, and puppet the rest into a few different nations. And while in the collapsed area here, they managed to, up to this point here, and over there, the communists managed without creating any other problems. Since they realize this isn't frozen to death, it's just collapsed, they decide to create communist England and communist Ireland. And well, that's pretty much all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Wild Mapper out, and until you subscribe, bye guys!